Jarett, my man, welcome
Yeah,
to Bourbon and BS. For as many minutes we're going to spend together, I see you've poured yourself a drink.
that's right.
I'm about to pour myself a drink. You can see there's some angel wings here. I don't know if you can see them. This is called Angel's Envy. And this was sent to us by our post-production editor, Jens, who does an amazing job. And this was his way of saying thank you, knowing the things that he edits are these kinds of things. He said, hey, I'm going to give you a drink. So I'm pouring it for the first time. Got my little golden ice cubes in here to chill it
Ice
off.
cubes.
Yes.
Man, this is like is this a sponsored video? Shout out to
Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angel's
what
Envy.
do we got to do, Angel's Envy, to get a sponsorship?
Exactly.
You know?
Come on. How about some cases? Although I don't know. Let's find out. So here's going to be. So the first question, while I take my sip, is what are you drinking?
I am having an old fashioned. So made this at my house. It's not anything like you'd get at a bar. It's got the same ingredients. Doesn't look nearly as nice, but it gets the job done. For the bourbon, I'm using Maker's Mark. One of my favorites.
Mark. It's one of my favorites too. One of my go-tos. Well,
yeah.
Let's rock and roll. Question number one answer. Let's just jump right into it. So, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dog, man. Any particular type of dog that stands out?
Well, I mean, the type of dog that stands out to me right now is my miniature dachshund. His name is Chuck, named after the TV show Chuck. I love that dog. He's great. Barks entirely too much, but he's a fantastic boy.
I love it. I love it. Listen, and I don't know if when I started this conversation, I just said your name, Jarett, but I didn't say where you're from. Southern Trust. For those of you that don't know, Jarett is an SVP at Southern Trust, but you've been in the mortgage industry for a long time. You can also see that Jarett has an incredible backup for his setting there. He just taught us before we started recording, he taught us all kinds of things of how we can help improve our surroundings. So we took all those to note. So I want to make sure I mentioned that. Typically say that in the beginning, but jump right into drinking with you. So we know you like dogs and you have a dachshund and his name is Chuck. Let's keep going. Fried chicken or grilled chicken?
Taste is fried chicken, obviously. I don't think you can beat the breading on it, but I mean, health-wise, grilled chicken. So I mean, I guess it depends on how you're feeling. Lately, for me, it's been grilled chicken. It's been way too much time indoors right now, so I think I'm trying to compensate with food. So we'll go with grilled chicken.
All right, grilled chicken. You heard it from Jarett. Grilled chicken. Nike or Adidas?
Nike, 100%. I've always been a Nike guy. I love. I got a fresh new pair of Air Force Ones the other day. I'm totally in love with. I just think they're such comfortable shoes, man. I've always worn them.
So, okay, so what's going on with Nike and the aftermarket shoes? Are you hearing this craziness?
I mean, there's always been a crazy aftermarket for shoes, just depending upon their rarity. It's almost like how you would get trading cards back in the day. But now there's this crazy aftermarket stuff. I haven't been following it too much. I mean, what are you hearing out there?
So I saw, not just hearing, I saw a shoe. It was I think it was like an ice cream motif shoe by Nike that went for like $3,400 aftermarket. Retailed at like $349, aftermarket $3,000. And I have it saved somewhere on my desktop, but I don't want to search through it now. But it's that crazy. So people, you got Nike shoes, keep them clean.
That's right.
Put them in the closet, and your kids will sell them for thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you never know when your long lost pair of Nike Dunks are gonna set your kid up for college.
Exactly right. So Jarett, let's talk parties. Would you like to throw them or attend them?
I like throwing parties. I'm the kind of guy who I get awkward at my own birthday party because I don't receive gifts well. I like to plan for other people. So the more I can make my guests or the guests of honor feel special, I mean, I think that's what I get satisfaction out of. It goes back to like being a planner. Like I'm not good at being surprised. I always feel like I'm going to give the wrong reaction to somebody. And it's like, I become awkward, so they get awkward. And it just ends up being this thing that like, oh, I wish you didn't do that because I feel like I'm not going to give you what you want. I don't know. That was a dive into my psychology, but hopefully
that's what these calls are about.
Yeah. So that being said, let's throw some parties. Let's not go.
Throw some parties. I love it. Okay.
Right.
Note taken. We're throwing some parties together.
For sure.
I'm in a similar camp as you. I like both. I like attending, but I also like making things happen. So you used to own a nightclub. So that kind of, that all goes together. So you would be a great, promoter for us there, that since you like to throw parties.
I think so.
Sticking in that sort of direction of questions, Biggie or Tupac?
I'm from the East Coast, so I got to go with Biggie.
Right.
I just loved his flow. I mean, it's a tragedy that both those guys aren't with us anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to, I think what like Biggie is like, you're gonna have a good time, and he's a great lyricist. So speaking of parties, it's like the kind of thing that you can vibe and chill out to. Whereas Tupac, when I'm listening to Tupac, I'm like, oh man, I feel like something bad's about to happen sometimes. So his songs were very aggressive in nature,
and
as opposed to
emotional.
Biggie's were like club anthems.
Yes.
So lots of times, if I'm just most of the time I'm in the mood to listen to Biggie over Tupac, but they're both great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, they're legends, and I agree with you that the fact that they're not here, terrible, right?
Yeah.
Talent lost. So, ski or snowboard?
I haven't done either, but I used to skateboard quite a bit back in the day. I thought I was good at it, wasn't really good at it, but I was. So I guess in that vein, I would go with snowboarding, because I was terrible at inline skating. So I'm trying to equate the two.
Yes.
Yes, I guess snowboarding would be my flavor then.
That would be the natural. Yeah, that would be the natural flavor. I like that. That's a very good. So speaking of flavors, pineapple on pizzas?
You know, I'll allow it. I think there's something to be said about the sweet and savory combination that works out for folks. You know, I just don't like, if you're gonna have the pineapple on it, it can't be like that canned juice pineapple. Like, it can't really be something where it's like going to drip all over the pizza. Yeah. It's got to just it's almost got to be like little pockets of sweetness in the midst of the savory, you know? So it's like a little surprise in the middle of the bite. It seems like I don't know. I feel like I have high standards for a pizza that shouldn't really have high standards, but that's where I'm at.
Listen, I have a feeling that a chef is going to hear your description and is going to call you, because you just made a pineapple pizza sound like an exploration of flavor. That's what you just made it sound like.
We're in marketing, right? So it's not a food. This is an experience. This is something that's meant to take you on a flavor journey. You know, like you put in the right wrapper, you can sell anything, including pineapple on pizza.
That's it. Cheers to that, man. Put the right wrapper on it. You can make anything sound tasty.
That's right.
And by the way, right now we're 50-50. I think with your answer, we just went to more pineapple on pizza than less. Some people are just completely against it.
That is a polarizing discussion. I don't know why, but it has gripped some parts of the American public to where you'd see that. I forget, it was like a meme or something on Facebook to where people were just debating it, and it had just thousands of comments. Yes, like, man. First of all, I wonder what it's like to have that kind of time. But second of all, it's like, man, people are really passionate about things that are just, they don't seem that important, but I guess they are very important.
Listen, it's so important. It's made it into every single episode. That's not important.
It's doing something right. Pineapple, hey, if you're listening, Pineapple, you're doing something right, okay? Don't let the haters keep you down, all right?
That's right. Listen, the pineapples have made it on T-shirts, underwear, shorts, you name it. They're on everything. So that's pineapples, right. I think pineapple may be the most popular fruit, period.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some in the conversation for sure, but pineapple, I mean, when you're looking at like, if I'm going to stick my hand out into a box that had a curtain over it, and I don't know what the fruit is now, there are other fruits where I can't just sense it, right? But when I touch a pineapple, I know what I'm working with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I don't know why I came up with this analogy, but it seems right. Yeah. It just feels like the brand awareness of pineapple is at an all-time high right now. So I'm very happy with it.
The pineapple is the Coca-Cola fruit for brand awareness. I like it.
Dang, that's going to be on Pineapple's next PR slogan. I hope they're going to contact you for some citing and some credits on that. And Pineapple, the Coke of fruit.
The Coke of fruit. I love it. So what's the most favorite emoji that you use?
Oh my gosh. I like using the eyes emoji.
That's what you used on this post. You did eyes and then pointed to a drink.
I'm recreating the post right here. Yeah.
Right there. Capture that. We're going to screen cap that.
Yeah, it's like show them side by side and see if they look the same. I like the eyes because it just means so many different things. It's like, hey, pay attention over here. It's almost kind of like a side eye, like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Yeah. I mean, there's a number of things. I think a lot of emojis play to that kind of behavior or that kind of thought pattern. But the eyes, I've been finding myself gravitating toward them.
Here's my other favorite question. I think this one gets a lot of interesting answers. If animals could talk, who would be the rudest?
I think the obvious answer would be cats. Yeah. And that may go back to my dogs versus cats thing, but I want to say something about cats. So it's not that I haven't had cats in my life. In fact, my family have had a lot of cats. My aunt was somebody who looked after a lot of cats. I had a cat as a young person, and I just always remember them just feeling like they didn't have the time for whatever you were about to tell them. And I don't know if it was just the look on their face, their demeanor, their posture while they were talking to you. It was almost like, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you from doing something.
Yeah. And the minute you reach out to them and they go,
Yeah, they're like they kind of just give you the
Yeah.
like
And
what are you
you start
saying right
doing
now?
anything else.
So I imagine if the body language was to be indicative, I would say cats. I'm sure there's a more clever answer out there, but the one that hits the nail on the head is probably cats for me.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I will say I heard a really good one, which was a skunk. That was a good one. That was, when you hear, see, you just want to kind of laugh the minute yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, skunk would be rude if he could say something.
Skunk is almost like the speak softly and carry a big stick mentality.
Exactly.
Like skunk doesn't even need to say anything to you. He's just going to show you how he feels about you.
You're gonna know how he feels about it.
Like him or not, he's very polarizing. The thing he's going to do, you're probably not going to like it, but you got to respect him. It's his one move and he takes it.
All right, let's hear this. This is going to take you way back. You're going to go back to your childhood right now, right? Imagine yourself as a young man.
Okay.
Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Wow. I think I speak for a lot of guys my age when I think Kelly Kapowski was one of my childhood crushes for sure.
That was Saved by the Bell. Is that right?
Yes, Saved by the Bell. But to be fair, I think a lot of the girls on Saved by the Bell were awesome girls.
Yeah.
That show was so cool is because I think the women were very empowered on that show. And I thought it was really cool how they played just as key of a role, if not more important, in a lot of the seasons. Granted, I was watching Kelly because I was like, that girl's super attractive. I'm going to keep watching the show.
That's right. That's my crush. I'm going to marry her later. She doesn't know it, but she's going to marry me later. So I need to learn about her because obviously who she is on the show is who she really is. So
right. I had to get out my Zach. I was, trying to get out my Zach Morris brick phone, trying to figure out what Kelly Kapowski's number was. Could never figure it out. It was heartbreaking, but somehow I think I've moved on.
You think you moved on? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just helped bring back some old memories.
Well, that's why we got this, right?
Yeah, we'll forget about them. That's right. That's it. Let's drink to that.
It's okay, Kelly.
You have to delete every single app on your phone except for 3. Now, we're not counting phone or email or calendar. You have to get rid of all but 3. What are you keeping?
So all standard apps are staying that come with the phone, like blank phone.
The blank phone, exactly.
Okay. Man, okay. I'd probably go with Filmic Pro because we were talking about this before the call. I like to be able to have and capture great content no matter where I'm at. So an app like that really helps. Probably keep Instagram. I love the self-expression that goes along with it. It's got its ups and downs, but I think as far as content creating platforms, it's great. And I'm actually, they say never bring the phone out on stuff, but I actually need to look and see.
Well, listen, it's a phone question. So if there was ever a time to bring it out.
2 hours later.
You know what? I should have thought of this. This would probably be my first answer, actually. Spotify. I love music. I've played music for forever. All throughout school in different bands. I've played in I'm a percussionist, so I play drums of all different sorts, from marching band to jazz band, pep band, stuff after school. Played in church. I mean, there's just a ton of places I love music. So Spotify is always on me when I go. So that's probably my number one.
That's great. So we said Spotify, we said Instagram, and what was the third?
And I said Filmic Pro.
Oh, Filmic Pro. That's it. That's
Filmic
right.
Pro.
You said 3. Filmic. So speaking of phones, Apple or Android?
I work in an Apple ecosystem, man. So it's not because of anything that I've predisposition. Like I'm a marketer, so marketing, I'm very aware when I'm being marketed to in a lot of ways. I'm a spec guy, so normally you would think that would go to Android, but back in the day when I was doing creative direction work and when I was doing graphic design work, that was when Apple was like the thing to have. When you were working in Photoshop. I mean, whatever marketing speak, I'm assuming it worked on me at some point. I say I'm immune to it, but I'm definitely not. And it also worked tremendously well with cycling items back and forth between people you were collaborating with. So I just grew up in my profession using the machines, and I've just always stuck with them. Because once you have an Apple machine or once you have an Apple computer, it's so easy to have the iPad. It's so easy to have the iPhone. It's so easy to have the watch because they all link and talk to each other. So once you're in, you're sort of you're tethered in for a while, unless you really want to make a clean break.
And they've really kind of set the tone for a lot of different companies in every industry, right? You're seeing this in the mortgage industry, you're seeing this in almost every industry where it's the ecosystem. Once you get in here, why try and throw some random thing in the mix where you can just get all the same experience as long as the quality is there? Why not? I love it. Yeah. That's fantastic. So,
and real quick,
go for it.
Just on top of that, I think there was one thing that really made me stick with Apple when I bought them, and that was the 2007 WWDC keynote the keynote that Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. I know I probably watched that keynote, and this sounds weird, but I probably watch it once a month.
Really?
To me, it inspires me to say, like, this was a pinnacle of a man's work who got to display it in front of people who, it wasn't an iteration of something. Sure, it was an iteration of a phone, but it was so much collective new technology that would change the course of the way that we interact together as humans, that to me, from that point on, when I used an Apple product, I sort of resonated with the why of that event happening. And it made me feel like using this product helped me stand behind something that maybe I strive to achieve in the things that I do. Maybe not on that grand a scale, but I identify with that event and why that happened and the purpose of that thing. I just always thought it was such a powerful thing that, like, if you're going to be that committed, I can be that committed to supporting you by using your products.
I love that. And listen, so just because you mentioned that, and since Jens is the guy that sent me this bottle and he's going to be editing this, Jens, put a link to that video in here. Let everyone see what Jared's talking about. I think it'll be great. So that's perfect.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything.
Speaking of presentations, this next question has nothing to do with that. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird. I'm a compulsory early bird. I have a 4-year-old daughter, so she doesn't give me a choice.
Oh yeah.
However, I'm naturally a night owl. Like, I get most of my work done at night because there's quiet. The world starts to get a little bit quiet. So for me, during the day, I've gone from being a person who was a primarily just a doer, like an executor, to somebody who's moving into the role. Like, as you progress in your career, you move up into less doing and more directing, delegating, visionary, working with people. So for me, when I want to go create or when I want to go do something, oftentimes that's at night when it's quiet.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so that makes sense. Now look, we're gonna have a couple more questions here. First of all, I feel like we could be talking forever. Honestly, this could be could be a regular session here.
That's cool, man. Link it up. Send the calendar invite. We'll do it.
Let's go. Yeah, we'll get updates. So here's an interesting question. I like this one because this takes you back again, but from a different direction. What was the first W-2 job you ever had?
First W-2 job. We were talking about it on the call, actually. You mentioned that I was in mortgages for a very long time, and it's true. It's actually probably the only real industry that I've worked in. And I know that sounds like I don't have a lot of diversity, but it's very true because the places that I've worked in, they couldn't be further apart in a lot of ways. So I literally from childhood grew up under a cubicle. My dad owned his own mortgage brokerage back in the day. So my mom worked as an office admin with him doing processing work. My wife's done tax transcripts. I was never the sales guy. I was more the guy that wanted to design the band t-shirts. So for me, but I have a great relationship with my dad. So I wanted to parlay that passion of being creative into something that would help sell in an industry which at that time, and we're talking about 2004, 2005. This is when I was in college.
Yep.
We were talking about that in that time where technology in the fintech sector was basically, and marketing was pretty non-existent. It was pretty dry, cut and dry. It was still very sales centric. You had the best product I'm going to buy from you, not because there's any sort of intrinsic emotional connection, but just because it was dollars and cents.
That's it. Yep.
And where I think a lot of folks now, this industry has become so commoditized, you stand out by your marketing or by the way that you connect with people. So for me, my first W-2 job was actually working for my dad in his mortgage brokerage. I would work there part-time, building his website. I worked there part-time, designing his business cards, designing his, his stuff for his business. When his business went under in 2008, because unfortunately pretty much 95% of brokers at that time went under due to the crash, that's when I moved over with him to become employee number 8 at New American Mortgage, which became Movement Mortgage.
Oh, I love it. So this is so incredible. Here you are growing up in a family that is in the mortgage industry, go on to work there, and then go and do some other things and ultimately find your way back to the mortgage industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I was growing up, I was I would see what my dad did and I respected the heck out of his work. He had incredible work ethic, he was an incredible father, but I just never wanted to do it. I just thought, I found it boring because I'm I don't want to look at spreadsheets. I don't want to look at pricing models all day. I want to figure out how I can make a website look cool on a phone. I want to record a video that helps somebody get brand awareness, and then measure that awareness somehow. Like the idea of connection between creative and reporting has always fascinated me. So it's like, how can I tie the things that I know that I'm good at doing to things that would speak the language of people like my father?
Hey, I mean, I think you're sharing a message that is so important for everyone, which is find what you love to do, and then do it, make a career out of it if you can, which you have, which I think is incredible.
Now, I was very fortunate that the dominoes fell the way they did. You know, for me, I'm not gonna come and say that, you know, I've earned, you know, every single thing. I feel like I've earned it because I bust my tail all the time to get where I'm at, and I've carved a lane to do that. But one thing that you mentioned, I think this is super important. You don't have to compromise to be successful. A lot of times, you know, for me, I saw sort of a divergent path in front of me that was like, you had to be this sales guy, or you can be this creative and you can be poor. Because every other person that I knew, you know, they were, you know, the starving artist is a trope for a reason. A lot of people, when they were like in the music scene, when I used to go and play in bands, and I mean, we were literally making $150 a night between 5 people minus gas before expenses. So you're not, I mean, Alex, that is more than some people were getting paid, more than people who were touring get paid.
Wow.
A lot of those bands, they survive based upon their merch sales, which is why they're hustling so hard to sell that record or sell that t-shirt, because that's how they're going to eat after the show. There's not a lot of people who are out there who make a lot of money. So I was in this dilemma. I'm like, I can do the thing that I love. And at the time I was dating my girlfriend. I'm like, I don't know how I don't see the future in what I'm going to be able to provide this person or myself. Or I can go do this thing that my dad has done successfully. It's provided for my family, but I don't know that I'll like it. And all of a sudden I just kind of had this idea, like, why can't I take what I'm good at and parlay that or shift that in some way that would help people like my dad while still being fulfilled in what I did. And I think that I was at the right place at the right time. You know, 2008 was really when a lot of this stuff started shifting around that turn to where marketing became really valuable in our space. So time, effort, and you know, just surroundings all converged, and I've made a really great career that I'm very proud of out of it.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're a beast, and for those that don't know, and they will know after they start to look you up, and for those that do know, you'll have a chance to comment and make sure everybody knows how much of a beast you are, because I know what the things that you do, and it's remarkable. And so let's ask 2 more questions and wrap this thing up. Favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Always number 1 for people. I love
followed closely by Golden Grams.
Dude, just like
and Reese's Puffs. You read Reese's Puffs?
Dude, are you kidding me? Cheers, man. I wish we were right next to each other. Cheers. That right
Reese's
there.
Puffs are good. They'll leave you with a little bit of dry mouth, but that's why you got that Reese's milk to come right after that, and you're good to go. You're good to go.
Now you're talking about, like, that is the last meal of your life. You're like, if I'm gonna do a meal, that's it. Those few cereals followed by the Reese's milk, and then you could just let me go.
That's the last one. That's it. That's like you're scraping your cup along the jailer, and you say, "One last thing, sir," and it's the Reese's Puffs.
Luckily, I think I always say, if I had one last meal, because this is the end of my life, I would do the all-you-can-eat buffet. Right?
the death row hack.
That's right. That's it. Not done yet.
No, yeah, I'm just not done. I'm taking a break, taking a little nap.
All you can eat. I'll be here for a while. And then finally, man, what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Well, I mentioned before that I have, obviously my daughter is here. We're living in a COVID-19 world at the time of this recording, so we're all working from home. This is actually my home studio, rigged up. But just outside of the door over here, my little girl and my wife are having a ball. I think they're breaking out the pool in the backyard, little inflatable pool we got. So I think I'm going to call it a wrap for today and hit the pool out there and spend some time with them.
That's why. So see, we've gotten you started just right. This is why we do these at the end of the day.
That's right.
You can just
this is not 9 a.m. We did not record this at 9 a.m.
No. That's right. That's exactly right. So cool, man. Listen, any questions for me?
How'd you start this idea, man? I think, you know, when I told my wife, I said, hey, you know, I need to seclude myself here for about an hour. I'm going to be on the show called Bourbons and BS. She's like, is this for work? And I said, yeah. And she kind of just gave me this look. She gave me the eyes emoji. And and I said, I promise you it's for work. And yeah, I mean, so what hits you? I mean, is it just like everybody in this industry, you know, we love to get together at a bar or try to recreate some of the stuff we've lost in this environment? What's the deal with it?
So you know what? It's been something that's probably taken many years to come together, and didn't know how it was going to come together. But I've always enjoyed just listening. I've always wanted to write a book called Stories, and it's everybody else's stories. Like I think
cool.
everyone has a cool story to tell, right? So that's from years ago. Fast forward to this industry, and I'm standing actually speaking to Adam from Movement Mortgage back in the day. You know, tall Adam in the marketing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so we're at the what's it called? The Housing Wire Conference in North Carolina, the first Engage Marketing. I'm about to go on stage. I have one of these drinks in my hands. Adam is talking to me. Clayton's like, dude, you're supposed to be on stage. I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm just going to take it with me. So I get on stage. I have my drink. The next conference, somebody's like, hey, where's your drink? I'm like, I'm going to go get one, since that stood out. So I started speaking on stage with a drink. And then everyone, you know, I've you know, people will send drinks like this to my house. And
Some
what
Frank Sinatra type stuff.
yes, exactly right. And so what happened was I've been thinking about this, and the industry is sort of, you know, there's a lot of people talking about the industry, but we don't get to know the people in the industry. We only get to know the people that represent the companies that they're working for, right? They're representing their brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Let's have a drink and let's just BS. I don't care what happens. And then there was a couple things that came up. I love the show, Comedians in Cars Having Coffee.
Yeah.
I love that. So
It's such a cool idea. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
I think
good.
it's such a cool idea because like the drink, I mean, you make a pun like it's an icebreaker, but it really is. Like it's this thing that you find commonality in the thing that you're doing, and then you just let the conversation flow from there. It ends up being really cool. And you mentioned something about stories. I think that's really cool. And it really is. It's not unique to either of us. I think everybody that's in this industry, and in any industry really, but in the financial space, in the mortgage space, we downplay story and sometimes individualism too much. I think there are a lot of things that people do, and sometimes we only see people as the email signature that's in the inbox. We don't realize that behind that. And, you know, there's not a whole lot to be thankful for with COVID-19, although we have our health, our industry is doing okay, and that's great. But one of the things that I love that it's revealed is like there's so much empathy for your fellow man and for what they're going through at this point in time, that you identify and say, oh man, this person is actually so much more than a processor. There's so much more than a loan officer assistant. There's so much more than a tech provider. They have things that they're going through and things that, you know, stories to tell, backgrounds to come up with. Like most people, when they look at like positions like mine or yours, they think, oh, this was the game plan from the jump. They went to college for this. They secured a round of funding, or they knew somebody and they got in there. Most of the time, the story is pretty zigzag. So hearing what it is and hearing the way people think, it's a cool idea.
Yeah, and it's also done, you know, the way I like to lead these conversations is it's free flowing. Like you may say something and the next question is going to be way off the list. It's not even on the list, right? Like I have probably 70 questions that are random, and I've only asked maybe 15, 20. And so it really depends on like what you say and where you take the conversation, then it flows that way. But it is a really cool way to get to know someone. You know, we know you love dogs. We know what you've done. We know your passions. We know like you get to know someone, and I hope the entire thing, if you can see when we post on LinkedIn, it says mission to make you smile. Because
that's right.
You get your mortgage news somewhere else, right? You get your strategy somewhere else. This is like, let's just have a drink and bullshit a little bit.
Let's have it. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it's people and connections. That's what our business is all about. And this is an example of it. So kudos to you. Cheers to you, man. It's been awesome. It's so fun.
Thanks, brother. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think you and I could literally sit and riff for hours, and I hope we get to do that when everything gets to open up and we get to sit back and have a dinner and just connect.
Hopefully, man. It's always good to sort of take stock of things. You know, we're always all so busy, so being able to sit back, enjoy a drink, and chat is always cool and always welcome.
Yeah, man. I just had my daughter came in, so welcome to COVID.
Yo, hey.
Yeah, this is how we live our life now. We have our kids joining us here and there. That's Jarett. Say hi, Jarett.
Hi.
Hey.
Where were you? Were you swimming? Oh my goodness. Did you have a good swim? All right, very good. Well, say bye-bye, Jarett.
Bye.
Bye.